All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Big Marley, 3 from SHIPIT Nation here to break down the Week 16 NFL Afternoon Slate for you guys. We have a full weekend of NFL football here, and I am pumped for it. Make sure you guys go sign up over at SHIPITNation.com so you can dominate these slates with us. You get all sports for just $69 a month, and we have been crushing all sports. We also have the best Discord community around, so go try us out if you haven't yet, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Also, I want to mention our friends over at Drafters are back in action with Playoff Best Ball. They have a $3 contest and a $20 contest available to draft in right now. That big $20 contest is a $250,000 prize pool with $50,000 going to first place. If you sign up with promo code SHIPIT, they will match your first deposit up to $100. And we will also do a couple live drafts in the upcoming weeks. So I hope to see some of you guys in there with us. All right, let's get into this 3-game afternoon slate. This is a fun short slate because I think all 6 quarterbacks are in play, assuming Trevor Lawrence starts anyways. And that just makes lots of ways we can go and no clear path for people to take. So this is an afternoon slate I plan on playing more than usual, I would say. The first game is the Jags at the Bucks. The Bucks are 1-point home favorites, and we have a 42-point total in this one. I don't see me using Beathard this week if Lawrence does sit, so I'm hoping he ends up playing, and if that's the case, then I do like Lawrence, and I'm fine stacking up any of those 6 quarterbacks on the slate. The Jags are already without Christian Kirk, and now they're expected to be missing Zay Jones as well. So that should lead to Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram soaking up most of the target share. Those are going to be my 2 favorite Jags this week. And if Lawrence does play, then I like him stacked with either or both of those guys. But I would probably make a rule that one of them are in each of my Lawrence lineups. And then Parker Washington is also in play at 3,800. But I expect him to be a popular paydown punt option, so that might get me to avoid him if he is going to be chalky. And maybe I even prefer a Jamal Agnew for $400 less. He has big playability. Got there last week, could get there again. But other than those pass catchers, it will just be Travis Etienne Jr. and the Jags DST that will make my player pool. And then the Bucks are also very stackable as well. Baker Mayfield is coming off his best game of the season, throwing for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. If I am using him, then I would want to make a rule that one of or both Mike Evans or Chris Godwin makes my Baker lineups. Those would be the top 2 stack plays. But Godwin is $1,400 cheaper. He's also seen 23 targets in the last 2 weeks, and he had his best game of the year last week. So I probably prefer him for the 6,200 rather than paying up for Evans. But I would guess that's what the field does as well. So that could make me like Evans as well if he's going to be low owned. And then Cade Otton is a cheap, low owned play that I have some interest in. I expect most people to pay up at tight end for these other 4 guys. So Otton could go overlooked. I like him at 3,300, and he could help us pay up for these other positions that we want to get up to. And then other than that, Rachaad White is going to be my favorite running back play on the slate. He is involved in the passing game each week, and he caught a touchdown in the last 2 games. So we could stack him with Baker and one of those wide receivers if we want to, or we can stack him with the Bucks DST, especially if Beathard ends up playing at quarterback. Then the next game is the Cardinals at the Bears. The Bears are 4-point favorites with a 23.5 team total. Justin Fields should be the chalk at quarterback on this slate, but this is a good matchup for him. And his rushing props are higher than all of the running backs in this game. He doesn't have to be stacked for that reason, but this is a 3-game slate, so I probably will be making a rule that he's stacked with at least one of his guys. And the most popular one will be DJ Moore at 6,900. I am fine with him. He's definitely his favorite option with the highest ceiling, but I'm also cool with some Cole Kmet if he plays at tight end. He's only $4,400. And then Darnell Mooney is only $3,300. I think I prefer him over those Jags wide receivers. He has seen 15 targets in the last 2 weeks. He's got big playability as well. So I think Mooney could go overlooked. He's super cheap. I like him in my player pool. And then the other cheap punt option I like is going to be the rookie Roschon Johnson. The Cardinals defense give up the most points to opposing running backs, and Johnson would just be my favorite of these 3 Bears running backs because I think he's the most explosive. He could break a long play, and he's also more involved in the pass game than those other guys. So those are the 5 Bears that will make my player pool. And then I'm also fine with their DST as well. And they've been playing really good lately, actually. They've averaged 12.2 DraftKings points in the last 5 games. So Bears DST, very in play. And then there's only 3 guys on the Cardinals that I have interest in personally. Marquise Brown was ruled out this week. So my favorite Cardinal is going to be Trey McBride. And he has 4 games with at least 22 DraftKings points since week 8. Kyler Murray is probably a low-owned quarterback option on this slate, and I'd want to lock in Trey McBride to every one of my Kyler Murray lineups because he's the only pass catcher I feel good about this week. If you really need to pay down for a Dortch or a Wilson or a Rondale Moore, I guess you could do that, but the only way I would get there is if Kyler Murray is my quarterback this week. So it would be Kyler with one of them and the tight end. But I am trying to get away from those cheap wide receivers. I just don't think any of them are good, and I prefer Darnell Mooney personally. And then the last guy would be James Conner. He is only $5,900, and he has 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. You could also pair him with the Cardinals DST if you want to get away from that Fields chalk this week. And then the last game is the game of the week with a 49.5 point total. The Dolphins are 2-point home favorites over the Cowboys, and they have the highest team total on the slate at 25.5. This is a great game, but it's expensive on DraftKings, so it's hard to stack for that reason. There are only 5 guys that score on the Dolphins, and they are all expensive. So that would probably lead me to not having much Tua and just using his pieces instead. I do like getting one of Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle if I can afford them, but I probably prefer the running backs instead. Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane have combined for 29 touchdowns this year, and the Cowboys were just dominated on the ground last week by James Cook. I'm fine with either or even both of these running backs in my lineup, and then we can pair them with the Dolphins DST if we want their cheap paydown defense. So I like that move. I probably prefer just one of the 2, and if that's the case, I'd rather just pay $200 more for Raheem Mostert. He has 20 touchdowns all by himself this season. And then Dak Prescott will be my preferred pay-up option on this slate, and I'd really want to stack him with CeeDee Lamb if I can afford it. He is averaging over 28 DraftKings points since their bye, and I would expect him to be heavily involved in this game. I also like Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson as cheaper stack options, and they're both only $4,900. They are also fine cheap one-off plays or mini stacks as well. And then if I need to toss in a Gallup or a Turpin or Tolbert, then I'm okay doing that if it helps me get up to a Dak and CD stack. But the only way I would use those guys is if Dak is my quarterback. And then the last guy is just Tony Pollard. He is a guy that could get lost in the mix. This is a tough running back slate. And aside from Rachaad White, I just think all these other guys get mixed in lineup. So Tony Pollard is a fine running back play on this slate as well. But that's about it for me. My full player pool with notes on every player that I plan on using will be posted over at SHIPITNation.com. All sports are included for one low price. So you guys can play more and pay less. I will be back with a primetime slate breakdown, but if you guys can hit that like and subscribe button for us, it really helps out. Good luck on this afternoon slate. I hope everyone enjoys the holidays. Thanks for listening. Go ship something.